everybody! So I am so excited to be doing my first XOXO collab. This is a group collab, so there's a couple of us participating in this. So we have Emily Han, who is delightfully colorful and creative. There is Audra at home, who has the most infectious energy. I really wish I had some of her energy. And Tina, the fancy face, who just doesn't get as much credit as she deserves. She's one of my absolute favorite people that I've been fortunate enough to meet on this platform. She's just such a wonderful, genuine person. I just adore her, and I'm so grateful that I get to be part of this amazing collaboration. So this is the F, marry, kill. Now listen, I intentionally avoid the hard swears on my channel. I made that a really conscious choice when I was first starting my channel because I knew that there are people who watch who are younger. I know there are people who watch with their children, for example, and I don't find that swearing brings anything to the table. I still get my point across. Now, with this video though, I'm tempted, but I also just kind of want to keep it a little PG, although y'all know what I'm talking about. This is the game we played as kids. I remember playing this quite often, where you would pick a category or a thing, and it would be the person that you would F, the person you would marry, or the person that you would kill, or whatever the situation may be. In this case, we have chosen a handful of brands to talk about specific products, or general products in my case, because I can't make commitments, but that's a whole other thing. So 4 of the brands overlap between Emily, Audra, and Tina and myself, and then we just kind of had free reign to pick the rest of the brands that we wanted. So I'm really excited to be talking about all of my general categories for these different brands and their products. I did put my brands in alphabetical order. I'm not sure how everybody else is doing it. This is just what I decided to do for myself. So the first brand is Anastasia Beverly Hills. With the product that I would kill would be the eyeshadow palettes. This is kind of funny because I'm wearing Subculture right now. Stay tuned for the palette bingo, which will be up tomorrow. But in general, I'm not a fan of the eyeshadow formula, so I'd be killing the eyeshadow palettes, just all of them. And I would marry the Brow Wiz. Such a boring choice, but it's reliable. It's a really good brow pencil. I really like the spoolie. It's not too flexible. It's not too tough. It just is a really good spoolie for brushing out my crazy brow hairs. And then I would F with Dip Brow because it doesn't really like me. It's really bad for me. It's not something that I should be going back to, but it's something that I continuously use because I just think that someday the really strong brow is going to be my thing and it's going to work. And I mean, pretty much never, but you know, I can't quit it. I can't quit it. The next brand is CoverGirl. And so I would F with the eyeliner. In general, I really like their pencil eyeliners. When I've purchased them in the past, I've really enjoyed using them. I don't think they exist anymore, but there was these Liquiline eyeliners that I had like in every single shade, and I loved them. So I'm not quite sure what they are like now, but they're definitely a brand that I go back to. Like CoverGirl is one of my favorite brands, one of my favorite drugstore brands. I would marry their foundation because I feel like CoverGirl has had a really good shade selection. They've had a lot of undertones. So for the longest time, like at drugstores, like there wouldn't be foundation that would be light enough for me or it'd be too orange or whatever. CoverGirl always treated me well, and I always really liked using the product. So I feel like the foundation would just be like that deep love, that deep marriage. And I'd kill the eyeshadow. I can't speak on what it is like now, and this is what I realized when I was going through my list, that I couldn't really even figure out a whole bunch of brands to choose to talk about with specific products because I don't have the experience with the specific products anymore. I haven't purchased a lot of new makeup in a long time, so my experience is based off of years ago. I don't know what CoverGirl eyeshadow is like right now, but in the past it was not very good, at least in comparison to what we have now. So I think I'd just get rid of the eyeshadow, like if I had to pick one. And I will say there was a couple of categories, a couple of brands that I just couldn't really pick something because I just didn't have enough experience, but I tried. So the next brand is Elle. and I would F with the lipsticks because I've had a pretty good experience with some of the lipsticks in the different formulas. There's like lip crayons that I really like that I have in a few different shades that I just hold on to because I really like using them. I have had a handful of different lipsticks and various forms and even sort of like lip glosses. I could classify this as just general e.l.f. lip products, to be honest, because they're not things that are necessarily like really long lasting, but they're fun to play with. So that makes the most sense to me. I'd marry the eyeshadow palettes, specifically the Retro Paradise palette, the Earth and Ocean, and the Bite Size palettes. I just did a fantasy palette video with the Bite Size palettes because I really had been enjoying them so much and I really wanted to create my own sort of version of those like little mini palettes. I didn't gather all of my products around me that what I have, so you're just gonna have to deal with some of the brand images. But I really like using their eyeshadows. Like, they surprise me. Compared to CoverGirl, where I'm just like, no, but e.l.f. has been really good. And I mean good. Like, I'm not just saying like good for drugstore, I just mean good, period. So I hope they keep that up. Then I'd kill the face primers, I guess. This was just the first thing I thought of because they're so misleading. It looks like they're pretty large bottles, but you don't get a lot of product in there. I've used a few of the e.l.f. primers over the years and I like using them, but they ran out really, really fast. And I might use an excessive amount of primer, so I need something that's actually gonna look like the full size of a primer and not kind of be skimping on it a little bit. So that's just the first thing I thought of. It's not that the product isn't good, it's more of a packaging thing, which is why I would kill it. It's very shallow. The next brand is MAC, and did I have a hard time with this one? I was like, I want to marry the entire brand. Can I just keep this entire brand? This is just the brand that I want. This is it. There's very little that I dislike, and I like everything, so how do I choose? So I chose to marry Fix Plus, which is like, really? But it's one of those staple products for me. I love Fix Plus. I find that it really does meld my makeup in and it makes everything look amazing. And it's not necessarily a makeup product, but it definitely is something that benefits makeup, and it's something that I just enjoy using. I love to set my face with it because I love how it makes my skin feel. I like how it looks when I'm not super powdery. I like using it to foil eyeshadows or just to get like more intensity with my eyeshadows. It just works so well. Unlike other sort of liquids or setting sprays, like if I mix it with eyeshadow, it doesn't tend to work very well, or I might get a lot of streakiness, or it gets kind of creasy and cracks throughout the day. Fix Plus, it doesn't happen with that. So this is just such a good product that I've used for so many years. I was like, how can I not marry Fix Plus? So I would have with the foundation because just like CoverGirl, MAC has the range to die for. Like they have so much, and they have so many good formulas as well. MAC is just a game changer in that arena. They've always been so inclusive with their shades. They always have had a variety of finishes with their foundations, so it's definitely something that I like to play with. However, kind of expensive, so not something that I can do all the time. And then I guess if I have to, like if I really, really have to get rid of something, the thing that stuck in my mind as something that I was like, this was okay but not great, is their brow gel. Very minor complaint. Still good. I'd still use it. If MAC was the last brand on earth, I'd be very, very happy. But the brow gel wasn't very great. Like I've used drugstore brow gels that were just as good, and a brow gel that costs $3 shouldn't be better or the same as a brow gel that costs $20+, right? So I guess it's hard to be impressive with a brow gel. I haven't found one that I'm loyal to, but that's probably been the only sort of downside to the MAC world that I've explored. Next, Natasha Denona. I had to throw Natasha in here. I wasn't going to. I was like, well, maybe we won't, because maybe this will be too predictable. Whatever, we're doing it. So of course I'm marrying the eyeshadow, and I know I'm not picking just one. I'm married to the eyeshadow. I'm married to the eyeshadow formula. All of them. Like, this is a group marriage. This is a group marriage, me and all of my Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes. So we are gonna live happily ever after. It's just, that's it. You're all invited to the wedding. Consider this your formal invitation. I would F with the lipsticks. I only have a couple of them, but I like them. They get their use, they get their workout, they suit me pretty well. As for what I would kill, the price tag, does that count? I honestly can't think of a single product. I haven't tried all of Natasha's range. Like, I really am like married to the eyeshadow, and that's kind of where it begins and ends. But I can't think of a specific product that I would like to kill because I haven't used enough in different categories to make that kind of a decision. So price tag, yeah. Can we kill the really expensive palettes, like the 170 palettes? Can we kill those? Like, I was so disappointed when the Triochrome palette was announced as being that 170 Canadian dollar palette. No, let's not do that. Let's do the $65 ones with the smaller pan sizes. That's what we need. That is what we all need. We don't need these giant pans of eyeshadow that nobody is finishing unless it is purely all duochromes. Like, if it was 15 duochrome shadows for $170, I'd be like, yes, take my money, because that would actually be an incredible deal. Have you looked into the price of like duochrome and multi-chrome shadows? I'm mostly thinking multi-chrome actually, but have you looked into the price of those from like indie brands? They're like $20 a pop. So if I can get a palette of 15 of them for $170, worth it. But 3 for $170? Hell no. So maybe I'm a little angry about that, a little angrier than I thought I was going to be, but that's just my thoughts on that. I don't think the palettes need to be that expensive, and I just think the better trend is to have the smaller pan sizes because it gives everybody an opportunity to kind of use more things instead of having the giant pans. It's just such a waste. The next brand is Physicians Formula, and I have my list in front of me and I didn't fill out anything for Physicians Formula. Whoops. Okay, so we're gonna do this off the top of my head. I would marry the Healthy Foundation if it still existed, Physicians Formula. Can you bring this back so I can marry it? Because I loved it so much. Like, all the things I'm marrying are like the most boring things ever, like foundation and setting spray. But I mean, foundations, marriage, like a healthy foundation, right? I'm cringing. Okay, it's been discontinued. I know this, I can make peace with it. I'd probably marry the butter blushes. They're very boring, but they work really well for me. I really like them, so I would marry those, I guess, if I can't have the Healthy Foundation. For things that I would F with Physicians Formula, maybe the butter highlighter and bronzer, just like the rest of the butter collection. That's the things that I have kind of experience with. Then I'd probably kill the eyeliner. Like, I just got the liquid eyeliner and it's really disappointing. Like, I thought it was going to be like really a black eyeliner and it's kind of like womp womp gray. And in the past I really liked their eyeliner, so this is really disappointing, but maybe I just had a bad one. I hate to be that person, but maybe it's true. Maybe it was just sitting on the shelf for such a long time because nobody wanted it, because who's thinking about buying a liquid eyeliner from Physicians Formula? So there's that. Okay, I think we did okay. Tarte is the next brand, and I would kill Shape Tape, just in all forms. Never tried it, don't want to try it, let's just get rid of it. Never existed. I would marry the lash glue and the lashes, but I think the lash glue has also potentially been discontinued. Why? I don't know. The lash glue was like second to the House of Lashes lash glue for me. One day it was on the website, another day it wasn't. Couldn't find it. Sad. They had a couple good styles of lashes that I really liked, like Girl Boss. Really enjoyed using those lashes, had a couple of pairs. I think I still have at least one hanging on that I refuse to let go of. Just very simple lash styles that I really like, that work really well. So that was the first thing I thought of with Tarte, was like the lash glue, the lash glue and the lashes. And then, you know what I really want to try from Tarte? Those chrome paints. I think that's what they're called. I'm really just going off of the image in my head of those little pots, of those like lid toppers or whatever they are, that are very like sparkly and shiny. I want those. I want to play with them. I want to have a good time. I want to be covered in glitter, but I'd probably feel a little dirty afterwards. Like, I really wouldn't feel great having spent that much money on something that is probably just really fun to swatch, and like just that metallic sheen. And see, it would be so good. It would feel so good, but it would be so wrong at the same time. The next brand is Too Faced. I went a little bit more specific here because I could actually think about specific products for Too Faced. So we'd kill the Better Than Sex mascara. That has to be the worst high-end mascara that I have ever tried. Ever. I don't know why people like it so much. It just really is so overhyped to me. It was really flaky. It made my lashes look clumpy and horrible. No, no, we are killing that. We are throwing that off the steepest cliff. I would F with the chocolate gold palette because it's good, but I just can't make a solid commitment to it because there are some flaws to it. But overall, it's good and it's fun. It's got those shimmery golden shades and those general tones I like. There's like these greens in there that are really beautiful, but some of the shadows in there are just, well, it's Too Faced, right? But I would marry the Just Peachy Mattes palette. This is one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes, and it's sad because I haven't used it that much, or it doesn't look very used. Like, this is the problem I have. Some of my most used eyeshadow palettes, the things that I like using the most, that I will reach for, almost don't look touch. Like, I look at my Busy Art Editorial Brights palette, and I don't have pan or even really, or a lot of usage on that palette, but I use it a lot. And I really like the Just Peachy Mattes. I like that little peachy scent. Sorry, I do like it, and I like the assortment of shades, and it's a really simple palette, and I feel like it pairs well with other things. It's just a really good assortment of neutrals, so I would marry that one. Second to last brand is Urban Decay. This was also a little bit tricky for me, but I decided that I would marry the eyeshadow primer potion. That is what this is showing me, is like the things that I really truly commit to are like the boring staple products, but the eyeshadow primer potion is so good. I love it so much. It is the only thing that keeps eyeshadow on my eyelids. And as I've noticed recently with weather changes and stress and all that fun stuff, I've been having more psoriasis outbreaks on my eyelids. This especially happens days after I have put eyeshadow on my eyes without the eyeshadow primer potion from Urban Decay. When I put that on my eyes, it helps lock everything in there, and I don't have psoriasis on my eyes the next morning. So it is a good product. When I talk about how much I love it, I genuinely mean I love it so much. And I know I've received criticism in the past because people thought I was being way too dramatic when I talked about not being able to afford it at the time, because I was very, very fortunate and I had a friend give me one, but at the time, many months ago, I couldn't have afforded to buy one, and that was why I was upset, was because it really does genuinely make a difference to the way that I use my makeup, which is why it would be the thing that I would marry. I'd F with the all-nighter setting spray because I haven't been using it very much lately. I think the bottle I have is old and it's not great. Like, it doesn't work the way that the all-nighter setting spray has worked in the past. So it's something that I would revisit again should I really need to lock my makeup in, but I haven't needed that life, so because I haven't really been going anywhere. And if I have been going anywhere, I'm usually pretty excited to take my makeup off when I come home, so I don't care about it lasting all day. So that's why it's still something that I really like and that I still would go back to, but I'm not as committed to it as I am with the eyeshadow primer potion. And I'd kill all the Naked palettes, like all of them. They got rid of the Naked Basics palette, which was my favorite neutral palette. For those of you who don't know, I panned that palette completely and then bought a new one. That's the only palette I've ever done that for. And then they turn around and they get rid of it. Why? They have so many ugly Naked palettes, and the Naked whole concept just needs to die. I'm also really bitter that they discontinued the Naked Skin as well as the Naked Skin color correctors. Honestly, Urban Decay, how dare you? How very dare you? So the Naked everything can just go. If you're gonna get rid of the actually good products in the Naked line, you can get rid of all of the trash that you still have. Wow, that was me speaking my truth. That was me speaking my truth. I'm sorry if you like the Naked palettes. I have beef with Urban Decay. And the last brand is Wet n Wild, and I was really trying to have like a variety of like drugstore and high-end brands, but this goes back to I don't have a lot of experience with brands anymore. So I said that I would F with their cheek products because I have like a blush lighter palette that I really like, and I have like vague knowledge of Wet n Wild products, so that's what I'm drawing this off of. I would marry their liquid lipsticks. Like, those liquid cat suits are so good. I have this purple one that really helped me change my whole lip thing, which is funny because now I'm just wearing lip gloss, but I really like that purple one. It was like from a collection, and it was called Golf Girl. And then I have a couple of other ones as well, like more neutral shades. They're such a good liquid lipstick formula. So that's the thing that I would marry. And then I really have a bunch of question marks for what I would kill because I don't know. I was thinking maybe concealer, but they do seem to have a lot more options with concealers now, and concealers that I haven't tried. So I don't want to just make a blanket judgment on things that I'd get rid of from the Wet n Wild line when I don't have the experience, which is just true of many brands for me right now, unfortunately. I'd like to change that in the future and just get a little bit more experience with some of these brands that I've been a little bit unfamiliar with, just with their new things, because things change so quickly that you miss one launch, all of a sudden you're missing the second, third, fourth, and fifth launch, and you're really behind. And that's been my experience with being on a no-buy for 3 years. So anyway, this was a lot of fun to do. Thank you so much to Emily and Audra and Tina for including me in this group collab. I hope you guys all go and check out their videos, which will be linked down below. And if you came from Emily, Audra, or Tina's videos, thank you so much for watching. Hi, I'm Elle. It was really nice to have you here. I hope you will consider sticking around. I have a lot of fun content coming up for XOXO, so December is pretty jam-packed and really gives a good example of the kind of content I am planning to do for the entirety of 2021. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I hope we get a chance to chat soon. Bye for now.